This podcast was originally live-streamed on the NonSequitur show on YouTube. New episodes air weekdays, Monday through Friday, at 8 p.m. Eastern at youtube.com/NonSequitur show. Make sure you never miss a live stream by visiting www.nonsecshow.com/schedule. For the latest news, polls and updates throughout the day, follow us on Twitter @NonSecShow or Facebook.com/NonSecShow. That's NONSEQ show. If you'd like to get exclusive content, bi-weekly private hangouts with Kyle and Steve, backstage access to chat with guests after shows hosted on your channel and much more, become a Patreon saint of NonSequitur. It ensures we continue to improve our show and brings you into the process at the same time. Visit patreon.com/NonSequitur today while the limited spots are still available.
The following podcast is intended for those who believe bold ideas are righteous, unique perspectives are gospel, and strong opinions are sacred. This is Non-Sequitur. Never follow. And now, here are your hosts, Kyle Curtis and Steve McRae.
Okay, I think we're live. Everyone can hear me, right?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Good. Welcome to this late night edition of Non-Sequitur. We're doing the layout a little bit differently today because we have quite a few people in the call. I'll go around very quickly and introduce everyone. I will say that quite the start to this particular hangout, because we've already lost a participant, and that is because they were wanting to go into an area of some of the subject matter we were going to be talking about, but they didn't want to provide the court documents or any types of video. So we hate to see her leave. Actually, I don't, if that's the way it's going to be. But that's the way that the cookie crumbles sometimes. But let's go around and say, Jim, we'll start with you. Hello, Jim. Nope. Can't hear Jim.
Muted, my dude.
I guess it would help if I unmuted, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It would have to be the first one. Hi, everybody.
And Ocean.
What's up?
Scientist Mel.
Hey guys, how you doing tonight?
GE.
What up?
KC.
Hi y'all.
Rags.
What's French for hello? Bonjour.
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 I think that's.
Oh my goodness.
I think that's everybody, right? I'm not missing anybody, right? Everybody here?
No, I think that's it.
Okay. All right. Good. So we're gonna have a discussion that came out of probably the longest Twitter thread in history. And
accurate description.
Yes, it's been going on all day. I'm going to preface what we're going to be talking about tonight by just giving you my sort of my takeaway from some of the things that I've seen over the past couple days, just so that we're all clear on a couple things. And then we're going to have a discussion on whether or not the way that I see things might be the best way or might not be. We'll see by the end of it. But there are people in here that their opinions are all over the spectrum. And so you're going to be getting different sides of this argument here, and we'll see where we kind of land. I told them earlier that it would be kind of hectic because we've got so many people in here. So we're going to try to do a system where everybody gets a round of stating how they think about this particular issue. And then we will open it up and do maybe like a hand wave or some kind of trick to catch my attention. There we go. Whoever catches my attention, that's who we'll call on. So
make crazy, silly faces then, I guess.
I'll reflect my bald head into the camera as much as possible.
That'll do it. Okay, so there were quite a few people who were upset, irritated, angry that I had JF on last night to talk about what we were talking about. And I'm fully aware of the controversies that JF has been involved in on his time here on YouTube.
He's Canadian.
Yeah, he's from Quebec, or he's French Canadian. But I understand that, and I understand that there are people who don't feel that people who espouse the sort of the beliefs that somebody who's alt-right does should have a platform to come on and talk about that. I understand that as well. However, my ideology is such that I feel that getting these ideas that are can be harmful, can be extreme, discriminatory, these ideologies are best exposed, argued against when they're put out there, when you have a place where you can go and you can tackle these different issues and you have the discussion. I am not at all of the belief that ignoring them or people who have that sort of mindset and they're just going to go away. That doesn't work. All that does is push them farther underground, seals them up in an echo chamber, and the ideas get worse. They become more entrenched on or against what somebody like myself who is liberal tries to espouse, because we're taking away, not giving them a chance to speak, not giving them a chance to be heard. I think of the example in Charlottesville. The first year that they did the white supremacy march in Charlottesville, hundreds to thousands people there at that one that marched. Fast forward to the next year, I think they said there was around 20 people that showed up. Now, that did not happen because we banned it. We didn't. It didn't go from 1,000 to 20 because we banned it. It went from 1,000 to 20 because we allowed it to happen. Because that's the way that this country operates. You can do that. And what people saw in that instance were people that they didn't want to be a part of. They said, whoa, this is not what we want to attach our name behind. So the bad idea was able to be put out there in front of everyone. People were able to see it for what it really was. And the right thing happened, which is the numbers died off. And that's what will happen if we continue to have a place where, yes, you may disagree with what they say wholeheartedly. I was able to sit there last night and hear actually two people that had rather extreme views and beliefs on things, and it didn't falter me. I wasn't supportive of those. Steve wasn't supportive of those. We asked several questions to push back on that. So basically, what you have in long story short, what you have here is a case of I am not going to not have the discussion because some people don't like it, because it makes some people uncomfortable, and because it pisses some people off. There are a lot of channels on YouTube, millions of them, and billions of videos. And if it ever comes to the case, which it will, because we put out about 9 shows a week here on this channel, you're not going to like all of them. You might not like a lot of them. and you have the freedom to go and watch something else. But I just want to make it clear that just because some things may be an unpopular opinion, that's not going to sway me in the decisions that I make. And I want you guys to know exactly why. And that's because I firmly believe that a lot more good is done when you're able to have these conversations. And I'll give you some more examples as we get into this discussion. But I wanted to kind of like a brief overview of why we are here. Okay, so who wants to start us out with their thoughts?
I guess I can start out with an opposition.
Sure.
If you want me to do that, unless somebody else wants to.
No, go ahead.
Okay. With respect to, I'll take your Unite the Right example and kind of start with that.
Sure.
That what happened after the Unite the Right incident is this wasn't the first time that there'd been alt-right protests. That wasn't the first time that they'd gotten media attention. It was the first time that someone died at one of those events.
Mm-hmm.
And that brought a lot of immediate attention to it. It brought the president making comments on it. And it also made it so that the ACLU was able to put pressure on people that were on institutions giving them permits to protest. Those permits were revoked. It was also the result of them being doxxed. It was also that drove that whole movement underground. And that there's a lot of stuff that spilled out from that. It wasn't simply because, a bad idea got out in public. It's that bad idea got a ton of sunlight shined on it, in addition to a lot of there was a lot of public response to it, and someone died, and then they were able to be deplatformed systematically as a result. That's the part that I think that might be that's missing a little bit from your explanation.
No, that proves the point even more. And number one, they didn't have the permits revoked. They did have the permits. I read that this afternoon. They did have the permits for the second. That was my first question.
The second one and several subsequent events.
Right, but they didn't get them revoked though. And my point ultimately though is that because they were put out there, all of these these chain of events, and that's part of the bad ideas being put in the sunlight. People react to them. You have society that reacts very strongly against seeing these things. That's the way that it should be. And then you have things like this happen.
I agree with you there.
Yeah.
I want to get into like the particular issue that I had as far as what happened last night. As I don't have a problem with necessarily putting these people out in front of other humans and criticizing them, and this is what, like, there's been a big debate about NonSequitur show having on flat earthers and whether or not that helps the flat earther movement. My opinion is obviously not. You have people like Reds crushing them every single time. What my problem with what happened yesterday was you had, granted the conversation was about slavery. You had on someone who is alt-right, a white nationalist. You had on another person who's a black nationalist.
Mm-hmm.
The conversation wound up going to nationalism.
Sure. There
was no one to put an opposition to that, to those two extremists agreeing on that. And it's something that
I think that's incorrect. If you go back and watch, Steve and I pushed back against that very hardly on their ethno state. I mean, we were bringing up all kind of examples. Number two,
when I was watching, I didn't see it as much. I think that there could have been a better response.
There's the thing, though.
Back on it.
There's the thing, though. Another thing that people are doing is that they're reading a name that's on here, and I've talked to 3 people today who have said they've made a case against why this person should be platformed, but they haven't watched the entire discussion.
I watched the discussion. And what I saw was I thought that the pushback against the ethno-state argument was inadequate, and that we had we had JF and Psycho agreeing on ethno-state arguments, and
they agreed.
And without another guest that was able to really combat what they were saying, getting into the base arguments of what they were doing.
Number one,
like
hold on, I'm not going to bring in 3 people to cover an argument that I have no idea is coming. The debate was on. The debate was on slavery.
Yeah.
Okay,
I understand.
I do not have a crystal ball. I do not know where they are going to go. They happen to end up on agreeing with this. Now, here's what I will say about that, though. The fact that they agreed when they initially agreed on that one particular instance, up until that point, it was contentious as hell. They literally, you could feel